Good morning, students. Welcome to our e-learning class. Students, today in this video, we are going to start a new chapter from book 2, theme 2 book. And the chapter name is Through the Eyes of Travelers. Through the Eyes of Travelers. This is our chapter name. So today we are going to start this chapter. Students, you know, many travelers, they came to our Indian subcontinent in our ancient period or medieval period. Many travelers, they came, they studied the conditions of India, social conditions, economic conditions, political conditions, the richness of India, the cultural heritage of India, and they wrote all the facts in the form of book. Many carried those books along with them, and many people left their accounts in India, and those accounts helped the historians to study about the past. So in this chapter we are going to study some important travelers who visited India during that time. We are reading the period from 10th to 17th century. From 10th century to 17th century period, whoever travelers visited India or Indian subcontinent, about them we will learn. Why they came, what they did, the name of their books, everything we will study in this chapter. So students, you know, people started their traveling for different purposes. People started their traveling for different purposes as they felt its importance. Depends upon their importance. As per their importance, people traveled from one country to other country, from one place to other place in the world. Depends upon their purpose and their importances. Some traveled in search of jobs, some in order to keep themselves away from the natural disasters. Some people came as traders, some as merchants, some as soldiers, some as priests, and some as pilgrims, etc. Many people traveled for adventurous purpose also. Students, one thing you remember, no accounts of travel left by women. No account of travel left by women, whether it is mentioned that they traveled or not. Women travelers, they have not mentioned about their accounts. Whether they traveled or not, we don't know. So no travels, or I can say no accounts of travel left by women, whether it is mentioned that they traveled. One important person name here, Abdul Razak Samarkandi. Abdul Razak Samarkandi, a diplomat, visited Vijayanagar Empire in 15th century from Herat. From Herat place, he came to India. He visited Vijayanagar Empire, studied about the social, cultural, economic and political conditions, and went back. In the context of this lesson, it is to know that how the knowledge of the past may be enhanced through the considerations of descriptions of the social life described and provided by various traveler who came to the subcontinent. That means, whatever information given by the travelers, those accounts the historians studied, and through those accounts and with the help of the historians, the knowledge of the past we the people of India came to know. Let us come to enrich our knowledge through the travelers' accounts. three important travelers they traveled which are mentioned in the textbook, namely Al-Biruni, Ibn Battuta and Francois Bernier. So first we will start with what? Al-Biruni. Al-Biruni, he came from Khwarizm. Khwarizm is a place in Uzbekistan, present Uzbekistan. So Al-Biruni, he came from Khwarizm, from Uzbekistan, a place in Uzbekistan. He was born in 973. He was born in 973 AD in Khwarizm, Uzbekistan. It was an important center. Khwarizm was an important center of learning at that time. It was an important center of learning at that time. He was a scholar of many languages. This Al-Biruni was the scholar of many languages. Scholar means very highly intellect person. He knows Syriac language, Syria country language, Arabic, Persian, Hebrew and Sanskrit. In all these languages he is having very good command. In 1017, Sultan Mahmud invaded Khwarizm. He attacked on Khwarizm, that place in Uzbekistan. Sultan Mahmud. He took many scholars and poets from there to Ghazni. And one among them was Al-Biruni. He lived in Ghazni until his death. Who? Al-Biruni lived in Ghazni until his death. He was taken by Sultan Mahmud from Khwarizm to Ghazni. He learned Sanskrit and studied religious and philosophical texts by moving with or accompanying with Brahmana priests and other scholars. So that means he learned Sanskrit by moving these Brahmins and other philosophers or other scholars and studied philosophical texts and religious texts in Sanskrit. He wrote one famous book called Kitabul Hind. Very, very important student this is. Kitabul Hind is a famous book written by Al-Biruni. He wrote this book with a simple and lucid language. Okay, his language, the language of the book was very simple and lucid, easy to understand. This book was divided into 80 chapters. How many chapters? 80 chapters. And this book includes the following subjects: religion, philosophy, festival, astronomy, alchemy, manners and customs, social life, weights and measures, iconography, laws and metrology, etc. So all these topics, all these subjects are covered in all these 80 chapters. Al-Biruni acquired a new structure, or you can say a special structure in each chapter. He wrote each chapter in a different way in order to make the readers with a lot of, in order to make the readers to attract, to pay attention on the book. So Al-Biruni acquired a special structure in each chapter. Next one. His work was considered for the people. Whatever works he wrote, they were meant for the people who lived along the frontiers of the subcontinent, on the borders of the subcontinent. Al-Biruni was well known with translations. He was a good translator. He was well known with the translations and translated or altered by Sanskrit, Pali and Prakrit languages or texts into Arabic. Whatever books that are written in Sanskrit, Pali and Prakrit languages, he translated all of them into Arabic language. Now we will move to another important traveler we will study. His name is Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta, he got a title Globe Trotter. Who was the Globe Trotter, or who got the title Globe Trotter? Ibn Battuta. Globe Trotter. Ibn Battuta was born at Tangier in Morocco. Tangier is a place in Morocco, and Morocco is a country in West Africa. Rila was his famous book. Rila was his famous book, and about traveler's account written in Arabic language. So Ibn Battuta wrote a famous book, Rila. It was written in Arabic language. It was his traveler's account. I mean, about his travel he mentioned in that book, Rila, written in Arabic language. Rila was rich and Rila has rich and interesting details about social and cultural life of our Indian subcontinent. He gained the experience by his own journey. Ibn Battuta gained experience by his own journey and explored world and many people. He visited Mecca, the famous pilgrim center of Islam or Muslims. He visited Mecca as a pilgrimage in 1332 to 1333. Between that year, he visited Mecca. And from there, he visited Syria, Iraq, Persia, Yemen, and Oman countries also. Ibn Battuta reached Sindh, a Sindh province in Indian subcontinent at that time, Sindh province in 1333. He came through Central Asia. He came to Central Asia to Sindh province in 1333. Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the then ruler of India at that time, who is ruling over Delhi. Muhammad bin Tughlaq was the ruler of Delhi at that time. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq, the Sultan of Delhi, appointed this person as Qazi or judge in Delhi. In 1342, he went to China as Sultan's messenger to the Mongol ruler. He went from India to China to meet the Mongol ruler as a messenger from India sent by Muhammad bin Tughlaq. He lived in Maldives as a Qazi for 18 months. Further, he went to Sri Lanka and again he returned to his home in 1347. From Maldives he went to Sri Lanka and again from Sri Lanka he returned back to his home country, India, in 1347. Ibn Battuta faced many problems during his journey from one place to another. He felt ill health also during this journey. Now, the enjoyment of curiosities. He enjoyed a lot during the journey, and he always traveled with a group of people. He was alone. He didn't travel alone. He traveled in groups. So the enjoyment of curiosities. Ibn Battuta was a inveterate traveler. He spent his great part of his life in making his journey through North Africa, West Asia and parts of Central Asia and Indian subcontinent and China, even Russia also. All these places he traveled. Now we'll move to another important traveler whose name is Francois Bernier. Francois Bernier, he belongs to France. So Francois Bernier, he got the title a doctor with a difference. A doctor with a difference. Francois Bernier, a doctor with difference. Jesuit Roberto Nobili translated Italian text into European languages. He translated Indian text into European languages. Similarly, Dorothy Barbosa, a Portuguese writer, wrote the information about trade and society in South India. He is also another traveler. After 1600, large number of travelers visited India. We know that Vasco da Gama also came in 15th century. After 1600, large number of travelers came to India like Dutch, English, French. Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, Jean-Baptiste Tavernier, a French jeweler, was among them. He visited India 6 times. For what? Trade purpose. He was influenced by Indian trading conditions. That's I told. Many people came to India for their own purpose. Depends upon their importance. In this regard, he compared India. That person compared India with Iran and Ottoman Empire. Ottoman Empire means Turkey Empire. Manusi Manucci. Manucci was an Italian doctor. He became the Indian inhabitant. Italian doctor, he came and settled in India. Now, Francois Bernier, a Frenchman, was a doctor, was a political philosopher and an historian. Very, very important. He was a doctor, he was a political philosopher and an historian. He lived in India from 1656 to 1668 and attached to Mughal court as physician to Prince Dara Shikoh, the eldest son of Shah Jahan. Now this person lived in India in Mughal court and gave his services for a long time. Now we move to our next topic, comparing East and West. Bernier wrote a comparative description. He wrote a comparative description with the situation of Europe. He compared India and Europe. And he always gave more importance to European countries than India. He devoted all his works to the King of France, Louis XIV. Whatever books he wrote, he devoted all these books to the French King Louis XIV, who Francois Bernier. He addressed his other works to effective officials and ministers in the form of letters. He compared India with European development as dull and cheerless. That means our development was less when compared to the European countries. He mentioned in his works. In 1670-71, Bernier's works were published and translated into English, Dutch, German and Italian languages. So students, this is the end of our topics. Today we covered all these three travelers and their works. So this is the end of the video. We will come up with some other topics in the coming video. Hope you have understood the topics in today's video. So till then, take care.